Hey everyone, I'm Will, and in today's video I'm going to be showing off my new Bosch GCM 18-volt cordless mitre saw. Roll the credits! Now, before we get going, let me just state that Bosch did send me this saw for free as part of their BITURBO tool test. And in order to keep the saw, I had to create this video to show you the full capabilities of this saw. And after lots of head scratching and hair pulling, I've come up with this, a gramophone for your phone. And I'm going to be making the gramophone out of some of this reclaimed walnut flooring. And I prepared all the pieces off camera because, let's face it, we all know what a thicknesser looks like. And this is the perfect project to show you the capabilities of this saw, because the gramophone is made up of compound mitre joints. And the first job that needs doing is setting the saw to a perfect 30-degree bevel to start making our cuts. Now, there's a few different ways that we can set the angle of the saw. We can use the measuring gauge on the back of the fence, or we can use one of these digital angle finders. And whatever way you decide to set the angle of your saw, just make sure that it is a perfect 30-degree angle. Otherwise, when we start putting the gramophone together, it's going to really show. And now, to set the compound part of this joint, we need to set the mitre saw to roughly 4 or 5 degrees. And this is the angle that I found works perfectly for the gramophone, because it's not too skinny and it's not too wide. And don't forget, kids, PPE is essential.
So what we're going to do first is make a fast cut, and then you can't hear me anyway, so I might as well just get on with it.
So, the back of the fence doesn't go all the way across, there's a gap in the middle, and these smaller pieces have a tendency to fall in that gap and become a bit unstable. So, to make things nice and safe, I've placed this plywood piece the span of the fence, and I've also made this secondary fence as well, so I can butt up all of my pieces. And because I'm going to be flipping these to get the 30-degree cut on each side, this is going to make it so much easier and so much quicker that I can just flip a piece, set it up into place and start cutting. All nice and safe. Let's get going. So maybe I should say to only do that if you feel comfortable doing it, because I suspect a lot of people will say that my hands were too close to the blade. But I made sure that I was doing everything safely, and I've got a lot of experience with these kind of tools. Now, I know a lot of people may not, so always do things that you're comfortable doing. If you don't feel comfortable doing this on this kind of saw, then make a jig for the table saw. It's that simple. And now, with them all being a uniform length, they all go together very nicely. Yes, I can see you through there. The joints have come out really, really nice. It's just being held together with some elastic bands at the moment. But once we put some glue on there, it'll be nice and tight. So the one thing that I found doing the prototype was insetting a back. Now, this does two things. It sort of cleans everything up at the back, but also as well, it points the music in the right direction. We want the music coming out of this side. But it wasn't until recently that I watched Pascmake's video where he made a bucket, and he actually inset the bottom of the bucket, and I thought that's a really good idea, and something that I did on one of my prototypes, and it worked really well. So with the saw still set up with the 4-degree angle, I'm just going to go and put a dado on the inside of all of these stave pieces. So we'll do that now. Just to explain what I just did, I set up 2 stop blocks. One is going to be for the furthest cut along my piece, and the second one here is going to be where I want the dado to actually finish. I also set the depth stop of the saw, and it's got a really handy sort of swivel stick that you can take in and out of the way. So when you want to do full plunge depths, you can have it one way so it goes all the way down. But then when you want to do sort of stopped dados like I've just done here, I can push it to one side and then set the depth. And I did that incrementally until I found the right depth that I wanted. Let's get on and build something! So you'll have to excuse me a little bit because I did a little bit off camera, purely because I use the table saw and not this saw, and I want this video just to purely be about this saw. So I've cut my hexagon and I've rebaited it so it goes into those dados on the back of the staves. So that is now held in place, and if I take the elastic bands off I can show you that. Whoops. So let's see, I've rebaited it, and then they just slot in like so. It's not perfect, but we can sort that out. Sand in, we can put some filler in there as well. It's not going to be too much of an issue. So now I'm going to put some glue on it, because technically we've done all the cutting, or the main cutting to make the gramophone. So now let's put it in some glue, tape it up and leave it to set overnight. Well, if that glue up taught me anything, it's not to buy cheap, nasty masking tape from B&M. Useless. Apparently, some people say if you stare at it long enough, it will dry. And that's it. I've taken it out of the elastic band and I've given it a sand, because let's face it, who wants to see more sanding? Not me. Let's go over to the saw and carry on. And before we get going, I'm going to leave the saw at 4 degrees on the mitre, and I'm going to set the compound to roughly about 5 to 10 degrees. And I've even set up the depth stop so I don't cut all the way through. After making my first initial cut, I'm going to use my steel rule to make sure that I'm level on both sides. 25mm. And 25mm. It's like he's done it before. So just to go over exactly what I just did, I made multiple cuts at a set depth to accept my mobile phone, and I can check this by placing the mobile phone into place. If it needs to be a little bit wider, I just take off a little bit more material. But make sure you don't take off too much, because once it's gone, we can't put it back. What can I say? It's a cool little project. It's a cool little project for a cool little man in his workshop, all alone. But anyway, I digress. Let's play the music just normally. Sounds fun. Oh. Sounds a bit better, doesn't it? Now, you can call it a day. You can just finish here. Really, I should do. But I fancy doing what I did with the prototype, which is putting a pair of legs on it. Nothing major, just to lift it up a little bit, just to give it a little bit more va-va-voom. Yes, yes, I'm gonna make some legs. That's it, make some legs. Now I joke, of course, because Rubio waits for no man. Well, unless it's 15 minutes. Give it 15 minutes and then Rubio waits for no man. But you got to wipe it off within 15 minutes. But then Rubio waits for no man. Well, you got to give it 5 days curing time, but you get the idea. I honestly feel like I'm cleaning the U-bend of the bog. Is it time for a close-up yet? Oh yes! And that is it, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been so much fun creating this project and showing off the capabilities of this saw. But this is absolutely, hands down, one of the best saws I've ever had or had the pleasure of using. And it's not just because Bosch has sent me this for free. It is my genuine, I'm being genuine here, opinion that this saw is hands down the dog's box. Thanks again, everyone, for joining me. Play the outro.